Hi, Mike Matchett with Small World Big Data, and I'm here today talking to Leostream about their latest release of a product I think is really going to be game-changing for both cybersecurity and the way people work remotely, and that is something we're going to call VPAM. We'll explain all about it, but basically, this is a way to help secure IT software supply chain, those are my words, and help people from outside your organization get access to things inside your organization safely and securely without you having to expose your secrets. So hang on, and we'll be talking Leostream here in just a second. Hey, welcome, Karen. Welcome to our show. Glad to have you back.
Thank you, Mike. I'm so excited to be here. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
So you've got a really strong heritage in producing these secure environments and ways for people to get access into environments remotely and help people really do that in a secure way, which is increasingly more important every day. But you've got something new because you've taken this technology now and I wouldn't say shift left, but you've looked at a use case. Let's just talk about what that use case is.
Right. So what we're doing is basically we're taking all these years and, dare I say, decades of knowledge that we've gained about providing secure remote access and kind of looking at, okay, well, we've always focused on employees, giving your employees remote access or anywhere access if you're a hybrid environment. But what happens if you have contractors or if you have outsourced IT or you have vendors who are managing applications for you? You want to give and need to give them access to your corporate resources. But the old ways of doing this to open up VPN connections and pass around credentials for your corporate assets is highly insecure and just not appropriate in this modern environment. So what we did is we looked at that very specific use case. How do we now shift our focus over to vendors and contractors and external people and allow organizations to provide secure access for them, again, from anywhere, because your vendors usually are not at your building.
Right. And, they're third party.
Right.
Party. They can even be global. They might not even be in your country, right?
Right, exactly. So what we now built is a service that we're calling the Privileged Remote Access Service or Privileged Access Management Service. And the use case is VPAM, Vendor Privileged Access Management.
All right. It's clear that the state of the art has gone between giving people VPN access and handing out credentials. But how did that go wrong, and how could we possibly get beyond that? People still need to provide some way to authenticate themselves, don't they?
Yes, definitely. And when you think about your employees, they're usually wrapped into your corporate identity provider. But a lot of times for vendors, you don't want to be provisioning accounts for them in your corporate identity provider, which is what you would do if you wanted to use our existing platform to manage those vendors. So what you do instead, if you're looking at our VPAM environment, is you provision an account in our management plane. And then our management plane is a place where the vendor can go and they can log in and they can request access to the assets that IT has said that particular vendor has permission to request access to. They can't just connect to it. They have to actually request the access. And then the IT department would say, yep, I approve that request. And then it's a matter of how are they actually getting connected to that? In our environment, it's an in-browser connection, so very secure. It doesn't require any client software, so no software for IT to manage on the vendor's device because you don't want them to have to do that. And then to get logged into the actual remote corporate server itself, those credentials are masked. They're hidden from the vendors. They never know what accounts used or what those credentials, be it a username, password, SSH key for Linux, that is all kept outside of the vendor's hands so that you don't have credential leakage, which can be a severe problem for security reasons.
So you become really the gatekeeper of that third party access, and they essentially identify to VPAM.
Yeah, the whole idea is to make it very seamless and secure. So for the vendor, they get single sign-on. They log into our web interface where that's their portal for access. They request access. Once it's approved, they click a button that says launch my connection. And then in the browser, they're essentially connected to the remote server, but using credentials that are only known to the people who own the servers. So, the Leostream customer. And they're held in our platform instead of handed out to the vendor themselves. And obviously we make sure that we're encrypting those and securing those.
But just to cover that workflow, They actually have the request exactly what it is, and then so there's somebody on the IT side or in the environment at the organization that's using this that then can oversee, monitor, and audit that very, very tightly.
Right, right. They'll always know. And so that person is the Leostream customer, technically. That's the IT admin.
Yeah.
But they also have this audit log of who's requesting access. Has it been approved? Do they want to change, what they have access to or when they have access? They have that control over that as well. And then again, the sessions are recorded. For compliance, you have this audit level tracking of everything that's happening in that remote session. So if they did either by accident or maliciously do something to your corporate system that erased data or damaged the system, you have this record from the recording.
I understand you also have this idea that a vendor may only need to get awarded access for certain windows of opportunity or windows of work. How's that implemented?
Right. So when the vendor requests access, I grant that particular vendor with permission to request access to that Windows server. And then when the vendor comes in and wants to request access, they define the time window, time of day, date and time. So maybe it's Monday from 5 to 7, whatever it happens to be. So that comes in as the request, and then IT approves that time slot, or they can shift it around. They can say, you know what, please do this over the weekend instead of on a Tuesday or whatever it happens to be. So that way you have this time bound access for that vendor. And there are settings inside our management plane for you to restrict how long that session is active too. So but it defaults to an hour, but if you know that the Windows update is going to take 5, you can say, okay, they can connect for 5 hours, but after 5 hours, if they're not done, just break their connection anyway, because I want them out of my system.
So you get security, you get some control, and you said that because of the auditing and those things, you get a lot of visibility into what your third-party providers are doing. Let's talk about some of the other sort of indirect benefits on this. We're really securing the environment. There's a lot of people who are continue to get hacked, continue to get ransomware, continue to do that. So this sounds like a critical step to securing that third-party supply chain as it gets deeper and deeper. Like how do we do that? Is this help with? I mean, this has got to help with compliance too, right? This is something that people can use these audit logs for that. Do you see people looking for regulation and compliance help with this?
I think there will be some of that, particularly with the video recordings, because now you do have this record of, it's actually capturing the screen. So you'll see where their mouse is going, you'll see what they're typing, you'll see what they're opening up. And again, the thing about this, so the piece of the service, the Leostream gateway, which is the part that actually does the connection for the vendor to the corporate resource, that is hosted by people who own the corporate resources. That piece is not something we host. So what that means is the connection for the desktop that the vendor is connected to, and those recordings are always held by the Leostream customer themselves. We don't have that data. It's never in our network. It's never in our data center. And so that's another good thing for compliance is you have these records, but we never hold them.
So you don't become a third party that also has to be trusted with the IP that's going through this. This is
correct.
You're kind of providing that gatekeeping function, but not in charge of the IP or responsible for that.
Exactly.
That's just great. So it seems like compliance and audit and security and visibility are all great things, but there must be some more financial impacts or benefits from this too, because you're helping make things easier for IT with those workflows. Can you give us some examples of that?
So I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about the simplicity. Anything that you can do to make it easier for IT to do their job so it takes them less time, that saves money because now they can focus on other things as well. And then, there's a lot of solutions out there on the market that do kind of this privileged access management, but they tend to have a little bit more bloated feature set. And if what you need is just a very simplified solution for doing vendor or third-party privileged access management, then you don't need that complexity and the cost that comes associated with that complexity for doing that kind of task.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to be levying friction on your third-party providers too, who are just have to turn around and charge you for the extra time that they're spending getting access to your systems, right? So it benefits both sides here to do that. I like the idea here that there's no agent software, special client software, as you mentioned before. It's all kind of in browser, and that but is this something? I mean, the big organizations can use and have this scale? Is there some capacity expectation with this?
Oh no, that's actually one of the glories of the solution is how easy it is to scale and to go multi-region, be hybrid, cross clouds, whatever you have to do wherever your resources happen to be. Because again, there's no agents that you're installing on your corporate resources. There's no clients that you're installing on your vendors' devices. And again, the customer hosts the Leostream gateway wherever and in whatever numbers that they need to manage the type of scale that they have and the architecture that they have. So that's a very powerful part of the solution. Yeah.
All right, and just to sort of circle around here, how hard is it to get started with VPAM, particularly if you're already a Leostream remote gateway customer?
So the two products are separate. If you are using our current remote desktop access platform and you have those Leostream gateways, those aren't the same gateways. That's actually a different environment.
Okay.
And I actually was just talking with partners who say that's a good thing. You want to be able to have a gateway that's managing your employees, and you want to keep your vendors for security reasons on a different network, coming in from a different place. So you do need to install these Leostream gateways. It's extraordinarily simple. Just happens to run on RHEL 9 or Rocky, one of those derivatives. And there's a single curl command that you run, step through a wizard to connect it back to our management plane. And then you're essentially up and running. Just enter in some connections, define your vendors. This literally can be set up in under an hour, and you
All
can
right,
be up and running.
so you can start to secure your third parties accessing your systems same day easily. It sounds like under an hour,
Easily.
technically getting things arranged and approved right away. It's not a big installation. We get to see a little demo of this now, right? And not looking to see you break or hack into anything, Karen. We just want to see how easy this gets to be.
All right. So
Yep.
here, let's pretend I've already come up. I'm part of a company called Karen. Not very exciting, but there you go. And I've already signed up with Leostream and I have an account and I've onboarded a vendor. So now the vendor, who happens to be Milo, he's going to log in and he's going to see this incredibly simple interface where it says, here's the request that he has out there to access different. In his case, he has some Linux servers that he's allowed to access. If he needs to submit a new request, maybe for a different time slot, he can come in here and very easily add a request. But you'll notice this is all the information he has. He knows the name of the machine, which is set by me as the Leostream customer. So it would be whatever would be useful for him. Then he can set the day and the time. Maybe he needs to add some notes in there. And then that request goes out, but he can't actually connect until somebody from the corporate side accepts that request.
Okay.
So now, for example, I am the actual administrator here. So I come in and I can see how many requests are pending, how many of vendors are actually out there with either active or previous sessions. So I can see those and view those. But if I look at the requests, I can see whatever pending requests are out there. I can approve them. I can come in and maybe I want to add some notes, change the time, whatever it is that I need to do before I hit approve as well. So it's a very simple, very streamlined workflow. There's, in the administration, here's where I would onboard my vendors, set up the connections that they have,
Okay.
and then invite the users. Those are the 3 steps. That's it. Very seamless.
Awesome. And you said this only takes maybe an hour to set up if you start from scratch.
It really is straightforward. The biggest thing is getting your gateways installed because, again, we don't host these. You have them. But if you click here, you can see I already have one in, but I can just come in and it gives you the instructions. Honestly, when I built up this environment, the thing that took the longest was waiting for my RHEL 9 machine to be provisioned out. And then if you have cross teams that you need to talk to about setting that up. But then it's just one curl command, reboot the machine. It's a little 3-step wizard to get it to register with the management plane. And then you're up and running. You really are after that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for this demo. Wish it were longer. I wish it were longer, Karen.
I know, it's just so straightforward. There's just 3 easy steps. You're done. The demos are all very short.
No, that's pretty impressive. I mean, this is all interesting on here. Can you give us kind of an example of what this looks like once we're running this? What has been some of the experiences you've seen?
So yeah, one example we've seen, and we'll take it back to, again, it could be a an IT consultant who updates my Windows operating systems or performs all my Linux server upgrades. So normally in the olden days, maybe what you would do is give them a VPN connection. You would have to provision them an account inside of your corporate identity provider, because that's probably what you're using for SSO through your VPN, or you're giving them the usernames and passwords. And now they have that out in their office and they could send it wherever they like. So instead, with the Leostream VPAM solution, what you do is you provision them an account in our management plane. But to do that, you enter in their email address, and then they get an email to finalize their account. They'll set up a password. They do, in fact, have to turn on MFA through Google Authenticator. And then they can actually log into our management plane, request access to said Linux server, but they don't know where it is, what its IP address is. They don't know what the credentials are. They just say, I need to access this machine, perform the updates, please give me access. And then once I say, yes, you may access it, they hit a launch button and they're connected in. So it's very seamless for them. But again, all the sensitive information is hidden.
That just sounds like something everybody should already have, Karen. This doesn't sound optional to me. This sounds like something everyone really should be running as soon as you. So this is available now, I understand. And if someone wants to find out how to get their hands on it, maybe ask you some more questions, look at it, what would you have them do first?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to, well, check out our website, obviously, leostream.com. There will be a dedicated solutions page for that there, but then also just drop our sales team a line at sales@leostream.com. We do provide free trials. So,
Okay.
And we need to provision your initial kind of account for you. It's not just up on the website and you can sign up, but you can come to us, ask for a trial. We're happy to give you a 30-day trial. You can try it out. And then, like I said, in an hour, you'll be up and running.
All right, Leostream here, Karen. I'm excited to see that you've got this way to say, okay, we can provide a better way to grant access where someone doesn't have to be explicitly given the credentials. They can identify themselves, they're given access. Those accesses are audited and monitored, and even time bound, which is awesome when you think about it, especially if you haven't been doing that before.
All right.
So check out VPAM. I guess just one last question for you. I'll give you the last word here. What would be your best practice recommendation to somebody if they haven't been doing anything like this? If they're going, oh, I do just give out VPNs to everybody. What would you say what would you tell them to do right away?
Stop doing that.
Yeah.
That's an easy question. Yeah, no, I understand that if you have VPNs already in place when you're managing them for your employees and you have a team like that, it's easy for us to get into the habit of just doing what we already have. But I think taking a good look at the security practices that you have in place, surrounding that, and realizing that there are ways that can go wrong if you're talking about managing that access for third parties. And so really, how do you separate the third parties away from the practices you use for your employees?
All right. And something you can do in a day to really lock down security on this and stop leaking all that credentials, much less the IP that's going out there. Thank you so much for Karen. Please come back. Thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Right. Take care.